Last week we did a meditation on manifestation. That was the first time we've done something like that in a bit of time. It's on my YouTube, so I'd recommend highly to go and check that. I actually started a Telegram group for it's called an abundance group, and it's specifically around this meditation and some other practices. Um, and the essence and intention of manifestation in the personal development scene is very common, because we all want to manifest and create, whether it's a relationship or money or more joy or whatever. It's this process of being a co-creator in our experience. Manifestation is obviously at the forefront of that, but we have to come from the correct intention. And one of the elements of coming from the correct intention, which I was just meditating on before this, which we're going to explore today, is the topic of self-responsibility. Because when we look at our experience and what we're manifesting, we have to be in a place of willingness to take responsibility for what's being manifested if we would like to continue the flow of that manifestation. And so what I mean by that is, if at any point we're not taking responsibility for how we've acted in either a correct or an incorrect way, a way that has created some sort of suffering or a way in which has created some sort of joyfulness, then we kind of lose what we manifest. It doesn't stick around, because there isn't a place of coming and honing one's realization that everything that we interact with, we've co-created in some form. So what this also does is this releases us from victimization, where we either feel we're a victim to others and external circumstances, or we're a victim to our choices. That we again unconsciously just say, "Oh, I'm not going to take responsibility for that," because in facing the consequences, the pain is too heavy. And because the pain is too heavy, it's easier to say, "Well, this is just happening to me. Why me? This is so sad." And all of these things, the victimhood that very quickly emerges. So self-responsibility is a very key thing. So we're going to explore this meditation today from a place of acknowledging maybe some challenges we're facing, maybe not, maybe whatever, just acknowledging what is in our present experience, and coming to a place of deep responsibility for that, taking responsibility for that, not necessarily always logically understanding why maybe something has come into your life that you don't see how you could have played a part in this. That's not always important. It's more to recognize that if you would like to accept the fact that you are a co-creator of and manifester of your reality in some form, then nothing can be left out. It's not like we take responsibility for the good things, and the things that are not so good, we're like, well, that's not my fault. It's not me. And of course, there's a level to that of practicality, right? If we're in some sort of abusive situation, or in a situation where there's boundaries being crossed, it's not that we can't take responsibility for it. It's that we also can have compassion for ourselves. That we may be in a situation that's quite tough, right? So it's a simultaneous experience, and we're going to explore that right now. This question here: would I then blame myself if things don't go well? Well, the key is taking responsibility has nothing to do with blame, right? When we're in an experience where we're facing a consequence that is not fun, blame is ultimately where we get caught in victimhood, because we either blame someone else or we blame ourselves, right? And that blame comes with shame, and it comes with spiraling down the vortex of shame and guilt and regret and etc. Taking responsibility is an acknowledgement of a mistake, acknowledgement of a consequence that we may have not known was going to be a consequence that is not so fun. Many different layers to that. And coming to a place of feeling whatever energies come up with that, which we're going to explore, the shame that arises, the regret, the lack of forgiveness, what have you. And then coming into a place of acceptance with that, which naturally then breeds compassion, understanding, forgiveness, all of the different elements. And it's not always overnight, but let's see how this is explored in this meditation. Okay. So, but if there's more questions, we can go into after. But for now, let's maybe close the eyes if you're lying down, seated, whatever feels right to you. We'll close the eyes and just bring the attention inwards. And initially, as we've just explored this topic, it may have already brought up certain topics in the mind, certain situations, certain circumstances or scenarios that we're engaging in at present time. And we're not going to, mentally explore them too much. We just want to simply be with whatever is present. And maybe nothing has arisen yet, and we're just meddling with certain thoughts of our day, or just sinking into the body and coming into a deepened relaxation within the body. And as we come into just simply observing the sensations in the body, the feelings and emotions that may be present, and maybe the variety of thoughts that are flowing through the mind, we can come to a place of simply silently watching what is present here, and just releasing from the need to control or judge or come into expectation that there should be just silence now. We're just coming to a place of observing what is present. And of course, we recognize ourselves as this awareness in which is silently observing, but yet there may be a lot of noise still. There may be still a lot of thoughts and feelings and sensations, but yet this awareness, this consciousness of just simply being aware forever remains in this place of silence. It's not touched by these thoughts, these feelings, these sensations. It can be allowing of all of these things that are naturally arising. And for some of us, it may be helpful to just naturally and slowly guide the breath, a very slow inhale through the nose, about 5 to 8 seconds, and then a very slow exhale out through the nose, 5 to 8 seconds, and just feeling into yourself here, feeling that breath moving through every cell of the body, not just maybe in through the lungs. You can direct it into your heart and expanding into every direction, into every cell of the body. This is just a simple intention to relax ourselves into ourselves, just deepening into this inward silence, this peace, this contentment. And as we come into the breath, and as we've sunken into this intention of simply being with, coming to an accepting lens of whatever is naturally arising in our field of view, whatever topics in the mind or in our consciousness are present. Oftentimes, certain topics that hold a certain charge of energy, they may be things that can be quite uncomfortable or painful. They may make the mind very active. And in this mental activity, the mind may be trying to figure out these circumstances or situations, or really just simply looking to figure out emotion, trying to analyze, control, manipulate to feel maybe a different way. So this initial level of coming into self-responsibility is a self-responsibility of acknowledging and accepting our current emotional state, or simply the current emotions that are present, the feelings, the energies that are arising presently in the body. And that comes with just simply acknowledging that these are the emotions that are presently arising, no other emotion. And so, with that, we don't need to go reaching for some other feeling or emotional state. We can be okay with whatever present emotions are here now, whatever current energies or perspectives are here now. And for some of us, they may be more intensive, others more subtle. But with this initial level of self responsibility, we may also come into the clarity of the connection this has with certain circumstances, relationships, situations in our life, decisions that we have made, consequences that we are facing. And in that, we can come to a clear lens of accepting our participation in all moments, in all circumstances, all relationships, the agreements that we've either consciously or unconsciously agreed upon in engaging through our thoughts, words, and actions. And coming into an honest look within ourselves of the levels of integrity that we have ignited or not, levels of patience, love, compassion, understanding, appreciation. And maybe one of those particular words stands out to you, so that can be explored to see how are the present thoughts, words, and actions, the present circumstances lining up with these principles or these personal ethics or morals. And this may quickly reveal particular energies that we may feel that are contrary to an aligned version of this, meaning we may feel a certain sense of shame or guilt or regret, not being able to forgive ourselves or another. And we can simply observe whatever energies or emotions arise within this. And it's simultaneously both a process of acknowledging through our observation and also a directing of our attention right into those energies wherever they arise in the body. Oftentimes they arise in the gut, in the heart area, maybe even in the throat, or really anywhere else in the body, but we be able to sense where these energies and emotions are most present. And we can move into them and be with them, sink into them, sink around them with a loving and accepting view and intention. And just simply resting with it exactly as it is without expectation. And so we may all be at different places within this, and we can continue to repeat this process as we explore within our consciousness a place of taking responsibility, emerging into the frequency of what self responsibility feels like. What does it feel like to feel empowered empowered in the perspective that every action, every word, every thought has a consequence, and that by acting, speaking, thinking, feeling, we are recognizing that there is always a consequence to these actions, thoughts, words, and feelings. Some of these consequences may feel very joyful and blissful, loving, and some of these may feel not so much that. But in taking responsibility for our co-creative power, we recognize that there is an agreement to uphold what we feel is correct, what we feel is in alignment with our truth, and what we see to be true. And that whatever we are perceiving in the mirror of our current reality, whatever is revealing itself to us within and without, we have had a conscious or unconscious participation in creating. And thus, regardless of how we're judging what we're seeing in the mirror, we can at least acknowledge that we have this co-creative power. And that we are immensely powerful in our ability to create. And this power continues to expand itself and reveal itself within our experience as we come into a deep sense, a clear sense of self-responsibility. That whatever we focus upon, whatever we ignite our energy into, is ultimately going to manifest. And the longer we focus upon certain and particular things, be them both more positive or more negative, things that we feel we would like to create or things that we would not like to create, both of which have the potential to manifest in equal intensity. And so at a certain point, we may have come to a place where any particular uncomfortable emotions or feelings have emerged and transmuted into a place of joyfulness, of spaciousness, and openness, an empowered essence within. And as we feel into that energy, this naturally, like a flower blooming, can at times open up into specific intentions, visuals, affirmations within the mind of the clear and particular aspects of our experience that we'd like to create or continue to create. This could be particular relationships of equal and balanced exchange and joyfulness. This could be our relationship with really anything, money, our career path, our relationship with our loved ones, our friends, our family, our animals, our plants, nature. But as we emerge and bloom into this deepened space of self-responsibility, self-acceptance, a clarity in our individual power to create and to direct our intent, our energy, This may just continue to open up and merge into every cell in the body, even outside the body, into our auric field. And of course, we can use the breath to send this energy in different directions within our field, within our body. And doing everything very gently, very methodically, with a deep patience. Of course, coming into a place of self-responsibility is always a present choice, a present moment experience. Often we can come to see certain circumstances of the past that are holding and draining our energy in a particular way when we have not come to a place of taking responsibility for those circumstances. And as we do so, then we also mold and shape the future timelines through this empowered lens of recognizing that no matter the circumstances that we find ourselves in, there is always a level of action, of conscious choice and action, thought, word, speech, feeling that we can surrender to and align to. And this isn't always something that we have to go out and do now, as much as it is a process of becoming and surrendering into the natural process of unfolding in our experience, which also emerges into a certain level of trust, a trusting in the unfolding of our path for our highest good and the highest good of all. At the same time, within this space, there can be particular actions or creative directions that we may feel called into as we come into this frequency. There may be a conversation to have or certain action we'd like to take in a particular region of our life that continues to reflect this frequency and vibration of responsibility, of integrity, of self-acceptance. And from this lens, we also can emerge into a place of self-forgiveness, where the burdens of the past and guilt or shame we have held or regret within our actions can be lifted like a weight off the shoulders. And we all may be at different spaces within this meditation, but we will come into a kind of a final affirmation within the mind that we can repeat to ourselves. And this affirmation looks to continue to root into this energy of self-responsibility and integrity, and we can repeat within the mind, I am responsible in all ways, and I take action with the highest of integrity and impeccability. So I am responsible in all ways, and I take action with the highest of integrity and impeccability. You can root into the frequency of that. You can even repeat that a few more times if you like, and continue with this process. But some of you may feel naturally complete here, and maybe there's some deepened clarity you have on certain aspects of your experience. Maybe there's just a simply deep silence or clarity overall. But however you're feeling, if you do feel called to open the eyes, we can do so. Bring ourselves back here. And if you do feel called to share in the comments how that experience was for you, if anything arose or any particular questions you may have from this or what we spoke about before, feel free to write that in the comment box. And so as I was mentioning previously, we're only really going to receive what we're ready for. And so, oftentimes I know in my own experience and what I've observed in others along the path is that when we have particular goals or things we'd like to create or manifest, etc., sometimes if it doesn't come, when we say we want it, then there's some challenges that may arise there. Some lack of patience often. But the lack of patience in many ways can be kind of a smokescreen for a lack of integrity, a lack of responsibility, a lack of that intention of impeccability, like I mentioned. Impeccability is like another term for perfectionism, but a more positive and empowering version, right? Where there's a natural kind of desire for us to act in the highest that we can, that we know we can, to do the best that we can. But if it comes with this place from this place of perfectionism, this place of putting all this pressure and putting these high expectations on ourselves, well, then that becomes it's like tripping over stairs walking up. You're trying to get up the stairs, you want to get there, but just going at a rate or going in a way that's just not sustainable. This is not a way that we can really connect with in an authentic pace. So we keep tripping up the stairs, and that's perfectionism in many ways. But in an intention of impeccability, it gives us the power to recognize that if we have this energy of wanting to do the best, that's a beautiful element, because that's what continues to bring us into the higher and higher elements of our experience, the more authentic aspects of our experience. But it doesn't necessarily carry the same weight. So that affirmation at the end, I feel, is very empowering, because that level of responsibility that we'd like to have, that can be challenging at times, and it's not always going to be so easy. It's not going to be always so pretty, especially when we're dealing with karmic patterns and habits and ways that may have not always been in that, not always in that alignment. So I know for myself, it's a constant reminder that there's a natural flow of mistakes and lessons that we may make, even with these intentions. But if we hold to that impeccability and we strive to act in the highest of integrity in all of our moments, then we will continue to be presented with opportunities to continue to refine, our thoughts, words, and actions in all ways. Right. So it's not a race, and it's not all things that happen overnight, because we are in a cyclical process of time. So we move through our own patterns and energies and conditioning over a course of time. It doesn't just happen like this, although it can. We can't rule out the miracles of our experience. I'm sure we've faced many of them at certain times in our life. So so that's what I got for today. This is a nice meditation. It's a different one. I mean, every week is a bit different, so this is good. I'll leave it open if there's any other questions or comments. It's very interesting, accepting responsibility. Yeah, I mean, it definitely can be interesting, especially when we're looking at things that we don't want to take responsibility for, or when we're looking at things that we don't see how we've participated in the creation of. And I'll remember this from a great teacher of mine. She said one thing that was very powerful, and it was recognizing that we're all of equal value, but we hold different levels of responsibility. Right? Every being in the universe is of equal value. We all hold equal value. We should all be treated with equality, but we each hold different levels of responsibility. That's all that is the difference between someone we may look to be more along the path than us in some way. They're just holding a higher level of responsibility because they have consciously acknowledged it. Right. So that's the only thing that really shows the difference in degree. So obviously, like there's fewer and fewer and fewer who have higher and higher levels of responsibility, and the question is why. Well, it's not the easiest thing. It's not just it's a walk in the park, but of course when our eyes open, they can't be closed again, right? At least on a certain level. So as we come into that responsibility within ourselves, then it's kind of starts to root itself in, and then we're more and more willing to see our life and how we've created it in certain ways, and take responsibility for things that maybe previously we may have never thought to do that. We'd rather project it or blame it or put it on something else, and that's sometimes okay. Sometimes we need that space to breathe a little bit, but we'll be faced with what we need to be faced with at the time we need to. So, yep. This is nice. Good to connect with all of you again. It is a practice, yeah. That's right, Lise. All right. Have a beautiful rest of your day. This meditation will be up on my YouTube, and I'll see you next week.